We have found that one of the best ways to market your business.
There really are so many marketing channels, and it can be really overwhelming to figure out which ones are the most worth your time.
And then posting those online, we get really, really great engagement from those sort of adverts.
Your music school could be wasting money on marketing that isn't even bringing in new students. Hey, I am Nick, and in today's video, I'm going to reveal the best and the worst marketing channels for music schools, and more importantly, how to make sure you are investing in these ones that actually work. And you guys, these are marketing channels that could be draining your budget right now. But don't worry, because I've got solutions to help you focus on those strategies that are really going to grow that student base and boost your bottom line. Now, some of these channels may seem like they should work, but they don't deliver, and others might surprise you with incredible results. So if you've ever felt sort of unsure where to invest your marketing budget, this video is going to save you tons of time, money, and headaches. And what I've done is I've interviewed some of our top music school coaches from our Build a Music School membership, and these are successful school owners who have tested marketing channels from every angle. They've learned which ones actually brought in students and which ones were honestly just a waste of money. Grab that pen, grab that paper, because this is going to be packed with actionable steps that will change the way that you approach marketing in your music school. Let's dive in and hear from our coaches first.
There really are so many marketing channels, and it can be really overwhelming to figure out which ones are the most worth your time. In our experience, we had a lot of great results with Google Ads. And a huge benefit of Build a Music School is that we have a resource for those ads to be built with you. So you're not only spending the money on a high performing channel, but you're also learning how to optimize them. Another channel that worked great for us was our referral program. And I think the winning part of having a referral program is that you're incentivizing both the person that's sending referrals and the newly referred person. A couple channels that were a little iffy for us would be those big marketing vendor booth events and any printed materials. So like magazine or newspaper ads, those ones were a little bit harder to judge. But I will say that when you have a robust multi-channel marketing system in place, meaning that you are pushing your music school information across several channels, up to 10, that everything seems to do better as a whole when you have your marketing stretched out across a lot of channels.
Hey, my name is Ruthie, and I started my music school after a career in the music industry, working in advertising and marketing. And so I come with a strong advertising marketing background. And I want to tell you some really key things that I have learned in my career and am now using that are proof in my industry as running a music school. So here's the deal. There are kind of four main categories of advertising, and we can use that in and advertising would be like pay it, put money, spend the money, and put it out there in people's line of sight. Marketing is more of the like experiential type thing and connecting people with other, like connecting people with the product itself. Okay, so in advertising, we want to make sure we're going to talk pros here first. We want to make sure that we've got our Google, we've got our social media stuff. These matter so much because that's getting in front of people's faces where they already are, and they using the tools that they already are going to use. The next one we think about is the kind of the big one that we would use a lot in the music industry was like radio, television ads. Now, we don't necessarily have that often we don't necessarily use that a ton here, but you can use the marketing side of it anytime. If you have a local radio station that does puff pieces, or you can always send press releases out to your local TV, your local radio, especially if you're doing something that has a social impact on your community. Get those press releases going and see how often you might actually just get a little love, and then they think, oh, that's the people who, run this music school with kids in mind. We need somebody to sing the national anthem, perform at our mayor's, I don't know, whatever. You know how these local things go. Okay, so that's the TV, radio. The next one I want to talk about is the print media. This is less, some places have newspaper, stuff like that. But what I'm thinking here is making sure that you've got something physical to give out. Print postcards. Some people do door hangers. I'm not really like a door-to-door kind of gal, but those exist and they're fine. I definitely don't recommend the in the windshield ones. Those are always just annoying. Now that might be a personal preference, but I don't think you're going to do a solid return on investment there. But as long as you've got some pamphlets, some cards that you can physically give out. And then with that would be larger print scale. And so if you can get some vinyls, if you can get some things hung on even like fences, stuff like that, that don't always get taken away, land, your yard signs, all that kind of stuff. Okay. But now here's where so many people miss the boat. It's in the CTA. That is our industry term for your call to action. You need to make sure that the call to action is super clear. You've told them about it. Now you always have to think, what do they do? What do they do with the information? We currently have one that says text for an info pack, for a digital info pack. You always want to make sure you've got a QR code at this point in our media and everything. But then please be sure you are responding to those leads, because so many times I have talked on coaching calls with people who are getting leads and letting them dry up. Oh, I had all these people interested because we did this event. We were at a local farmer's market or whatever, a vendor fair. We had a bunch of people sign up and nobody actually came. Well, what did you do with those leads? So the major con that I see all the time, or that downside to marketing and advertising, is when people have information that they can get to people, but then the people don't know what to do. Potential customers don't know what to do. And then nobody calls them back. Call back your leads. Call back your leads. Text them, call them. Hope that helps.
The best marketing tools that have worked for us are probably twofold, actually. Firstly, being running a show tour around the schools. So getting a team of tutors together, creating an educational, fun, vibing, filled with energy event, and taking that into the schools. We did a tour of, I think, about 14 schools our first year. It's just a 30-minute educational show. And we had everything set up on the back end so that those kids that attended the show at the schools just wanted to be rock stars as soon as we had finished. And so we handed them all out flyers saying that you want to be a rock star too, come and join us. And we had a great funnel in place so that they would scan the QR code or send an email or book online, however you might want to make it work. And then we filtered them into First Beat program, which is like an intro to music. You get to try out all the different instruments over 10 weeks. And from there, we enrolled them in their favorite instruments. So it was a really great way to bring in a higher number of students faster. It seemed to work really, really well for us every time we've done this. Secondly, is organic, real, unfiltered online engagement. So interviewing tutors, selfie sort of adverts, getting the kids to tell us their favorite artists, just really sitting within the school as if you were a student or a parent or somebody just watching from the outside, to get a feel of who we are and what we do and the culture within the school, and then posting those online. We get really, really great engagement from those sort of adverts.
We have found that one of the best ways to market your business, not only is it a cost-effective way to market it, but it's also very successful too, is to get in Facebook community groups, whether that's local groups for your area, or it could be mother and baby groups, it could be parent and carer groups. Who knows? There's bound to be loads going on around you, not even necessarily in your immediate vicinity, but think a little bit further afield, because people will travel if they find a music school that they love. So get posting in those groups. It's free. The key times are to do it on Fridays and Saturdays when parents are at home, they may be on the sofa, they're chilling, they're scrolling through their phone, and they're going to stumble across whatever you post in those groups to grab their attention. It could be a free trial lesson, it could be some cool open day that you're going to run. But yeah, get in those Facebook groups and start posting in there.
And I would say, as well as the Facebook groups, the Facebook paid ads have been really good for us. Simple contact forms with clear questions that you want to ask them, get them to fill those out and get those submitted. It's a regular way of marketing to people in your area. Drop the pin, set the radius, and get those contact forms coming in so that you can add to your lead sheet. I would say one of the worst ways that we've done is simple flyer drops. We have done thousands of flyers around the area. We've even hand delivered them ourselves. They're really hard to track the conversion rates. You can't get your target audience as easily, and pushing those flyers through the letterbox, sometimes you get your fingers nibbled by dogs and cats. So save your fingers and save your budget and sort the Facebook marketing out.
All right, so let's talk about marketing. Some great marketing channels, some not so great marketing channels, kind of the best and the worst. I will preface this by saying this. I think it's really important that even though you have all these resources, if you're part of BAM, if you're part of any other mastermind group and you have a bunch of people that have done things before and you're taking information and advice from different people, it's always important to test whatever kind of marketing you're doing to see what works best with you. Not only does it depend on the location you're in, obviously the country you're in, your market, whether you're in an upscale neighborhood, whether you have a lot of competition around you or don't have a lot of competition around you, those all factor into what is going to work for you for marketing and what's not. And then just time, right? So what worked for you last year might not work this year, or 5 years ago might not work. So for marketing, you have to kind of always be looking ahead and seeing what's working currently and be able to move. And so that's one of the great things I think about being a studio owner is, especially with, with you being able to make the decisions for the most part, that you can kind of turn on a dime, right? So if one marketing channel is not working for you, move on from that one and move to another one and try something different. If you're a big corporation, that might take, weeks and months to move off of one ad campaign onto another. So really think about those types of things. But I'll kind of list through a couple of them and talk about what's worked for us in the past and what hasn't worked for us in the past. So the big one is always going to be Facebook and Google. Those two, we personally have used a lot more Facebook. We kind of have a whole channel and funnel and marketing system through Facebook that works for us. I know Google has had a lot of success too with Google Ads, and they both work great if you set them up well and you maximize them well and you're targeting, the specific client that you need in those ads. So those can work really well. They can also be a huge waste of money if they're not set up well. So I'd make sure you really dive deep into knowing what that looks like, or hiring somebody or a company that can really set that up for you properly. The other one, yard signs, I know is a big one. People have used yard signs. We've used yard signs before. We've got mixed results from it. I think they've been good. I know that some other band members have had huge success with yard signs. Other band members have said they've seen some success, but they've also paid some fines for placing them in spaces that they're not supposed to. So you kind of have to balance that. Flyers and door hangers. We used to use these probably 5-10 years ago. We'd hire some teenage kids and walk around and put the door handles, the marketing flyers. We teamed up with other businesses and so we split our costs. So we printed on one side and another company, I think it was like a karate studio or something, printed on the other side and did some marketing that way. I don't know if people respond to that as well these days. We haven't tried it in a couple years, and it worked really well for a few years and then kind of fizzled down. So we've stopped doing that. But that might be something that in your area, if you're in a small, tight neighborhood, that maybe would work for you. Magazines. So we've had mixed results. I would say this has been the best and the worst for us. So there's one local magazine that is a kids activities magazine that we market in all the time. We market our summer camps. We market all of our programming, our art, music, and dance classes. They do an email blast. They do everything's online. They used to do physical copies and now they don't. Everything's online, but it goes out to, tens of thousands of families in the area. And it's kind of a big name magazine for our area. So that's always been effective for us. What has not been effective is these kind of one-off magazines where they're kind of neighborhood magazines and you have to lock into 12 months, and they're very expensive, and it's kind of higher end families. And so it's like remodeling of kitchens and new roofs and that kind of stuff that doesn't necessarily speak to young families with young kids. So that has not gone off. We did one or two of those and spent thousands of dollars, and that was very little return on that. So for us, that didn't work. Local newspapers, we have gotten to the point where we really look for free press in local newspapers. We do an event and we'll invite the local paper to come and try and get some free coverage. We used to pay for ads in newspapers, and we don't do that anymore. It just isn't effective. People just aren't reading newspapers, at least in our area, as much as they used to. The one big one that has worked well for us are schools. So going out into local schools, meeting with the parent organizations, the PTAs, whatever it is, the principals, to make sure that our flyers or banners or marketing is in the schools. That's really important because that's where the kids are at. So that's where you're going to get the best return for your buck, I think.
Thank you, coaches, for sharing all of your marketing knowledge with us. All right, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm going to share with you what I believe to be some of the best marketing tools for music school owners, and the ones that, well, honestly, didn't work super well for us. And, as you go through these, maybe you may resonate with one and go, actually, that did work in my area. Or, I tried that and it didn't work. There's some of that I am like, yes, I totally get where you're coming from. And then another side where I'm like, maybe it's just, if you said that it didn't work, maybe we just need to tweak things a little bit. So one of the big ones that I hear this from when people go, the one marketing channel that didn't work for me is Facebook ads or Instagram ads, Meta ads, whatever it might be. As I've dug into this a little bit more, what I've realized is that there are so many people that just aren't doing it right and doing it correctly, because I have personally been on both sides of that, where I've said, you know what, Facebook ads don't work for us. But then I have taken some time to meet with some people who are experts in that, in understanding meta ads, and really, understanding the full scope of what we have when we are utilizing these meta ads, Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. And what I did is I used some of the tools that we have in the Build a Music School membership. And what I immediately saw was that for me, I had an issue with the copy or what the ad said. And I also had terrible images that I was using that weren't resonating with people. And so what I started doing is started tweaking some of that stuff, testing it out a little bit. And all of a sudden it became the #1 tool for us to really grow and scale our music school. The second one that I always encourage people to use is Google Ads. If you are not using Google Ads, you gotta do it, because what you'll find with Google Ads is these are hot leads generally. These are people who are actively searching for music lessons. Where on the Facebook ad side of things, maybe that's what we're gonna find somebody, we're gonna give them an offer, and they weren't necessarily looking, but they're like, you know what, maybe I would be interested in giving my child a music experience or whatever it might be. Where Google Ads are somebody who's like sitting there typing away going, all right, I want music lessons. Here's the nearest music school to me, or here's my favorite music school out of the 3 or 4 or 5 options that I have. And so when you run these Google ads, you're able to see that sort of stuff, transform your business because you are capitalizing on these hot leads. So yes, is it more expensive per lead for a Google ad? Absolutely, compared to a Facebook ad. But generally speaking, what you see is a higher quality lead within those Google ads. The third thing that works really, really well at our school is referral marketing. Now, I want to be very clear and say you cannot rely solely on word of mouth. Word of mouth is not the one marketing thing and you're like, this is all I do and this is all I need to do. What we really want to do is use all these other things, these Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, all that sort of stuff. And then we can add in that referral marketing to get that word of mouth, all that sort of stuff in play. And so we use a golden ticket method in order to get people into our referral marketing system. And these referral marketing systems and these golden tickets, they're in the modules here at Build a Music School. And so when you jump into this, you will then be able to capitalize so much more on the referral system and getting more word of mouth, because again, now you are building advocates for your school, people who want to say, yes, I'm in, I love this place, and I want to tell everybody else, I want to shout it from the rooftops, all that sort of stuff. So that's number 3. And the fourth one is going to be all around partnerships and networking. So now this could be lots of different things. So maybe you partner with a local orthodontist or a local dentist. Maybe what you do is you're partnering with a school and you're building this epic school show program. Now all sides of this work, but what happens is we start to get more plugged into the community. We start to build relationships with other businesses, other people who are, serving the same sort of clients and stuff that we are. And so these partnerships and networking, they really become almost a free opportunity for you, just like your referral marketing, where you're not, pouring money into this all the time, but you're able to get, references and stuff to then scale up and really grow that portion of your business. So those are the 4 big marketing things that I always recommend to everybody. Now, the 2 things that I will say do not work well, and again, this is from my personal experience, maybe they worked really well for you. The first one would be traditional print advertising, whether that's, trying to get into a newspaper, into a magazine, anything like that. Those sorts of things have never really worked well for us. We've also done things like door hangers that we've not seen a ton of success from. And we've seen a little bit of success from Everydoor direct mail, but nothing compared to, our Google ads, our Facebook ads, referral marketing, and our partnerships sort of stuff that we do. So generally speaking, we are staying away from newspaper, magazines, all that sort of traditional print method, print advertising, that sort of thing. The second thing that we always stay away from is spammy social media tactics. And so this is going into Facebook groups and just being like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff all the time. And same deal with on your personal Facebook page, because what you're going to have is a bunch of people who are going to be annoyed by what you're doing. So can you go into social media and do great posts and ask for people, to buy into your thing and, to do lessons with you? 100%. But you also need to make sure you're providing value, and you want to make sure that like people are staying engaged with you and not just feeling like they're constantly being sold to. And so there's lots of different approaches and ways that you can do this. And so here's my encouragement to you. Somewhere in this video, there is going to be a link to claim a 7-day trial. I would highly, highly encourage you to check that out and then open up Module 5, because in Module 5, what you're going to get is you are going to get a full list of amazing marketing tactics that work. And one of them is going to be all around social media marketing and posting. You'll also get all of our access to our how to build successful meta ads and great ad copy, and then all the way down to like how do you build great Google ads. And it is so comprehensive. So go ahead, click the link, claim that 5-day or that 7-day trial, go to Module 5, and I can't wait to see you in the Build a Music School